The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Wednesday, November 19th. Today is GIS Day.
What?
Yep, GIS Day, Dale. That's right. GIS. You don't know what GIS
my
is?
12-year-old mind's going crazy here. What does that mean?
Oh, boy. I knew you would ask, Dale. I knew you would ask this. On this third Wednesday of November, GIS Day celebrates the technology of geographic information systems, basically Google Maps. It's also the day to discover and understand the benefits of GIS. Because otherwise, you wouldn't have MapQuest. You still have to use the Thomas Guide, you guys. That's the benefit right there. All that navigation in your phone, all that Wazing and everything else.
That is courtesy of your United States Air Force.
That is true. That is true. It's very, very true.
Thank you,
well.
Boys in Blue.
Yes. Look at that.
They developed GPS, and now we'll develop it into a mass surveillance technology. No, I'm just sorry. But yes.
There.
Yeah, we've been there. We've been there.
I'm sorry. I just got off of leg day, so there might be some
You're
too much sass today.
You're not sorry. We're not buying any of that. That's total BS, but whatever. It's okay. It's speaking of that, it's also National Play Monopoly Day, Dale.
Yeah. Well,
it's one of my favorite games.
Money is everywhere, right?
It's one of my favorite games, Dale. You know?
Yeah.
Secret, you know what I'm saying? You want to buy the red properties, you want to buy the green properties, you want to buy the blue properties. And then maybe like the oranges, and then you get the purples at the end and throw a couple hotels on there and just, it's game over.
They skip the bankruptcy part, right?
Hey, you know.
Well, or if you played like in my family, if you go bankrupt, then maybe you can have a conversation with another player at the table who can finance you. And it became a whole nother lesson in economics. Because then whoever ends up being the financier at the end typically becomes the winner. But
JP Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Yeah, that's where you learn them early lessons. Make sure you're reading those history books at the same time.
Speaking of the history books at the same time, you know who else has a game that's actually, I think, is actually better than Monopoly?
We're waiting with bated breath.
Trump. You ever played the Trump board game? It's basically like Monopoly, but like Manhattan style. You buy all these different buildings, and it's a really it's the best game. It's the best game. It came out back in the 80s. Trump the board game, you guys.
We're all playing Trump games right now.
Yeah, the whole nation is in an episode of Jumanji.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's also National Carbonated Beverage with Caffeine Day.
You know, can I be like a little functional little brat?
Go for it.
Not you.
Well, hold on.
Not me.
It's also Shaun, National Educational Support Professionals Day. So go for it.
Well, okay. if anyone's thinking about doing like a caffeinated beverage, especially with cannabinoids, I think the market would love to see more flat infusions. Not everything has to be a seltzer, especially if you are. And Dale has a story on this, actually. You know what? I'm not going to jump the gun.
Oh,
not everything has to be a seltzer. More from Dale later.
Yes.
But how do you mask the horrible nano emulsifier flavor?
Oh, we're going to get into that in Dale's story. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high at noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website, www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from whatever platform you guys are joining us from. And I'm going to start it off. I have some good news, I think, for you guys. I'm sure I'll be able to turn it into some bad news, but you know what I mean? Maybe you're going to think it's some good news. Because adult use marijuana amendment is headed toward review by the Florida Supreme Court, you guys. That's right. State elections officials on Monday have sent a proposed adult use marijuana constitutional amendment to the Attorney General James Utmeyer's office, effectively putting an end to a lawsuit that backers of the measure filed to try to trigger a Florida Supreme Court review of the proposal. Monday's move will set in motion Supreme Court review of the measure, an essential step to getting it on the 2026 ballot. It came on the last day of the deadline set by the justices for Governor Ron DeSantis' administration to respond to a lawsuit filed by the Smart and Safe Florida Political Committee, which accused elections officials of improperly holding up the ballot initiative process. Court documents filed on Monday by attorneys for Secretary of State Cord Byrd included a letter from Byrd submitting the proposed constitutional amendment to Utheimer. The documents also included a letter from the State Division of Elections Director Maria Matthews to Smart and Safe Florida, verifying that the committee had met a threshold number of signatures in congressional districts required before the court reviews. The lawsuit, which sought what was known as a writ of mandamus, should be dismissed as moot, but Byrd's lawyers wrote, adding that mandamus proceedings become moot when the respondent takes the action the petition seeks to compel. The lawsuit asked the court for an order requiring state elections officials to issue the letter to Utheimer, and the committee, in Byrd's response, said, because the letters were sent on Monday, the case has been so fully resolved that a judicial determination can have no actual effect, the response said, citing a previous court decision. Smart and Safe Florida faces a February 1st deadline to submit 880,062 valid signatures to put its proposal to allow adult use marijuana on the ballot in November of 2026. And according to the State Division of Elections website, the committee has submitted 675,334 valid signatures as of Thursday morning. The committee had to submit at least 220,016 statewide signatures to trigger the Supreme Court review, a threshold it exceeded in early June and met numbers in congressional districts. Smart and Safe Florida in August asked Byrd's office about the delay in forwarding the measure to Utheimer, but did not receive a response according to the lawsuit. And DeSantis led efforts in 2024 to defeat the proposed constitutional amendment, also sponsored by Smart and Safe Florida, to allow adult use marijuana. The committee then launched another effort to get it on the 2026 ballot, and although the state has retreated from the standoff about triggering the Supreme Court review, other legal wrangling about the proposed constitutional amendment shall continue, because Leon County Circuit Court Judge John Cooper on Friday will hear arguments in a lawsuit that last month by Smart and Safe Florida accusing Byrd's office of illegally directing county supervisors of elections to invalidate more than 200,000 petitions. The dispute involves an October directive issued by Matthews requiring supervisors to scrap petitions that did not include the full text of the proposal, which the committee sent to voters. And the lawsuit alleges that that nothing in Florida law requires that the full text of a proposal be provided or displayed to voters before they sign petitions. And in court documents filed on Monday, lawyers for Byrd argued that Smart and Safe Florida's legal complaint lacks merit for numerous reasons, including that it ignores key constitutional, statutory, and regulatory requirements with regard to Florida's ballot initiative process. And state law gives Byrd's office the authority to obtain and maintain uniformity in Florida's election laws and to direct the county supervisors of elections on the performance of their official duties, the state's lawyer said. No statute gives ballot sponsors the right to decide for themselves how their petition form should look or whether to ignore or comply with the Secretary's regulations, Benjamin Gibson and Tara Price of the Schutz and Bowen LLP firm wrote. And Smart and Safe Florida disputed the state's arguments on Monday in an acrobatic document which kicked off with a retelling of classic scene from the Marx Brothers movie that ends with one character asking another, "Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes?" The petitioner sent to the voters, compiled with statutory requirements, wrote Glenn Burnham's, an attorney with the Stearns Weaver Miller firm, who represents the committee, and in a quote says, "The Secretary asked this court to deny that the petition contained in the mail package is identical from the form approved by the Secretary. The Secretary further asked this court to deny that Smart and Safe provided the full text form to voters by way of dedicated web page address, and both contends that belie credulity, and no amount of linguistic contortions or misdirection can distract from the simple fact that Smart and Safe complied with the plain language of the rule," Burnham's argued. But Byrd contends that the petition form sent to voters by mail was altered after being approved by his office because it included a link to Smart and Safe Florida's website on the back of the form, and the link contained the full text of the petition. The full text form must be provided or displayed whenever the petition is circulated and must be shown to voters before petitions are signed. The state's lawyers argued in the document filed on Monday that it is not enough to tell the voter where they can go to locate the full text of the proposed amendment, the lawyers wrote. Smart and Safe Florida's attorneys urged Cooper to order Byrd to tell county supervisors of elections to revalidate the scrapped petitions. But the Secretary tried to throw a wrench into the machine in the 11th hour by issuing his secret directive. Now there is confusion amongst the county supervisors, which can only be resolved with a declaration from this court and a follow-up directive issued by the Secretary correcting the erroneous prior directive. Smart and Safe seeks nothing more, the committee argued on. Well. Dale, that was a whole bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, and they just took us for a whole ride all around Florida. But it looks like I think ultimately it'll probably be on the ballot in 2026, but I think it's going to fail. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
This is why people hate lawyers. They keep looking for just stupid shit to fight over. Mm-hmm. And in a bigger sense, every state has its own initiative rules, so it's very difficult for me from California to parse this out. That's why I like to go in front of the judge. The writ of mandamus requires that you look at the equities and the justice here. What does the statute say? And you get an order from a court. And then if a court orders you to do something, you want to take that lightly, cool. These are games being played. And, I'm in favor of getting things in front of public to vote. Getting it on the ballot doesn't mean it wins. It just means that it gets in front of the public and they get to decide. And politicians hate this shit because they know people look at them and shake their head. You guys have your head up your ass. We want this to happen. And they tell them to do it. And politicians hate that. They want to control the game, all the rules to the game, play games with it. And that's what's been going on with this. And whether or not it would win in front of the public, that's a separate question. It should be clear. How do you put it on the ballot? And these games get played every place there's an initiative on the ballot. It gets old. It's why lawyers make most of the money and all this shit, and why people hate them.
I love me some lawyers. You know what I mean?
Not me plotting to get my law degree in the next couple of years because I see a future.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Shaun.
Not
the
these
way to
reasons,
go.
though, not for these reasons. We do need to dig into the details a bit, though, because this is very fuzzy in my memory. So much has happened in 2025. But I do recall at the beginning, a lot of people were upset. And while we were going through the story, I was like, why does this feel like yes, but also Spidey senses, the Smart and Safe, we are all aware who it's funded by. Yes, truly, right?
Yep.
Whispers. And so they funded it, and I clicked like where it was, what the amendment was, and then I clicked the amendment, and I see the edit. And if this is a very critical single edit. It's section 29. And someone from Florida, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to recall people were the people who actually consume and other people who want to operate were not excited about this amendment at first because it said medical marijuana production. So that would imply, I believe, if, Dale, you're actually an attorney, I believe that would imply you have to be a medical marijuana licensee to sell adult use marijuana in the state of Florida. And I seem to recall that was part of the issue. This new amendment, or the full text of the proposed amendment, and yeah, I think people should probably have the full text of whatever they're voting on, says marijuana production. So does that mean it's for everybody? Because now I can see people getting behind that, but if it's just the medical operators,
I think it's only the medical operators that are going to be able to produce the adult use, and the system is already set up for that functionality. So I wouldn't expect anything less.
Medical license
I wouldn't expect Trulieve to be all of a sudden paying for a voter initiative to bring in more licenses or licensees into the state's fold.
No, but because it didn't pass before, I wasn't sure if, and I'm not spun up on Florida. I've been really in it in Texas and then with hemp. But I mean, with Florida, if it hadn't passed before and you had spent as much money as you had on it, lobbying for it, my question would be, when do you want to cut your losses, open the market so at least you can move product and make sales, because you're still not helping yourself. But if it passes, it passes. I
think if we're talking about a voter initiative, those technicalities are going to bypass the average consumer, the average voter. They're not going to think about that. They're going to look at recreational or not. Pretty much every state that's gone from medical to recreational has grandfathered in their licensees. Florida is a particular weird one. I mean, I was fighting to get on a license in Florida back in 2017. They're going to limit licenses with whatever it is, with liquor licenses, with gambling licenses. It's just how this state operates. It's we all want to see recreational sales. There's always going to be some kind of wrench thrown in those gears. To favor big money interests, but and of course Trulieve's going to fund it. They have market share right now. They have majority market share, so they're going to benefit the most from it. They're going to put money towards it.
Exactly.
But to expect voters to say no to that because it doesn't open up all these new potential new licenses, I think is unrealistic. But typical Florida, this is probably you drive around Florida and Nevada, and there's more signs for lawyers on billboards than any other states I've ever been to. Personal injury, whatever, accident attorneys. Those two states just love suing people, suing each other. We used to joke in Florida, there's only two ways in. You either buy your way in or you sue your way in. So that's good. That's it. For them to try to throw this out based on these fine technicalities. I mean, I actually signed a voter initiative a couple months ago out at a farmer's market, and a nice gentleman on a street corner was like, "Hey, you want to legalize, marijuana?" I was like, "Yeah, why not? Sure." So, I think an overwhelming amount of people are going to sign those initiatives without reading every single line, and with the hope that it's going to progress things forward. But obviously somebody's against it and looking for the most minor technical reason, some T that wasn't crossed or I that wasn't dotted, to throw it out. And, and that's unfortunate, because I don't think the average person is going to look at that. And if you have signatures, that shows you numbers.
Yeah.
What is the medical licensing scheme in Florida, just to provide context? Because I think the question, and I agree with you, I don't think the voters are going to know all of that, but the industry does. And what is that, what does that mean for operators who are trying to open up Florida actually all the way, not just to, the big, really large MSOs?
Yeah, I mean, Florida is probably the most limited license market, especially among a large population state. It's pretty tough to get a license here. It's licenses have been traded around, sold for over 80 million, without even a real estate attached to it. So it's a lot of big money, and you're not getting in this as a mom and pop craft operator, unfortunately. It's just not happening.
Definitely not.
It just cracks me up to have a license with no actual property attached to it at such and I think that valuation.
What do you mean they have to have a property attached to it? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Well, what he just said.
Your property in Florida is attached with wherever your production facility is.
To be granted a license, you have to have everything.
Yeah,
in
you
check.
have to have a property.
To show a property and all of that. But to exchange a license, an existing license for sale, you can sell the license without a premise. I'm just talking about value-wise. Licenses have been sold for over 80 million without including a premise. Existing licenses.
That part.
Sounds like a very inflated way to do business. I just think it's going to bottom out eventually. But I mean, they're going to pass this amendment, and it's not going to bottom out for them. Certainly not. But
there's only 22 existing license holders that are actually operational, and one license grants you unlimited retail spaces, unlimited cultivation sites. So it's basically, a ticket to just enter the entire state market and gobble up everything you can.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And on that.
Damn.
And on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Every legend has a
And we are back, you guys. We are back. And man, I have some good news for you guys. Oh boy, here we go. So Nancy Mace, she circulates a bill to block the hemp THC ban that President Trump signed into law. A GOP congressman is circulating a bill that would stop the implementation of a federal hemp THC product ban. That's part of a spending legislation signed by President Donald J. Trump last week. And she's pledging to spend the next year fighting to prevent the implementation of the ban overall. The draft bill from Representative Nancy Mace, Republican from South Carolina, who has also separately championed legislation to legalize marijuana, seeks to strike a section of the recently enacted appropriations package that hemp stakeholders say would effectively eradicate the market by imposing severe restrictions on the types of consumable cannabinoid products that could be legally sold. Hemp businesses and industry groups have warned about the potential ramifications of the ban, but despite his support for states' rights for cannabis and a recent social media post touting the benefits of CBD, Trump signed the underlying spending measure into law without acknowledging the hemp provisions. Mace's bill, titled the American Hemp Protection Act of 2025, would prevent that ban from taking effect, which would happen around this time next year. But it wouldn't on its own accomplish what many advocates have pled for as far as regulations. Rather than outright outright prohibit consumable hemp products with small amounts of THC, the industry has generally pushed for a regulatory model that addresses issues with intoxicating cannabinoids that have become widely available since the crop and its derivatives were federally legalized under the 2018 Farm Bill that President Donald J. Trump did sign into law during his first term. Mace's office did not reply to a request for comment from Marijuana Moment on Tuesday afternoon, and in comments inserted into the congressional record last week, Mace singled that she'd be taking steps to address the hemp language in the spending bill, which she said would deal a fatal blow to American farmers supplying the regulated hemp industry and small businesses to jeopardize tens of billions of dollars in economic activity. The Farm Bill legalizing hemp and its derivatives established a successful framework, she added, adding that stakeholders have stepped forward to self-regulate in the absence of uniform federal regulations, uniting behind a framework which restricts the sale and possession of hemp products to adults 21 years and older, standardizes packages to eliminate look-alike products that are appealing to children, and standardizes labeling to empower adult consumers to make informed choices, and requires independent third-party laboratory tests for consumable hemp products. They have been asking Congress to pass legislation to responsibly regulate their industry, the Congresswoman said, and rather than adopt this common sense regulatory framework to protect children and allow adults to make informed decisions, Section 781 of this bill essentially imposes a national ban on all ingestible hemp products with any quantifiable level of THC, which represents between 90 and 90% of hemp products in the marketplace, including the vast majority of non-intoxicating cannabidiol CBD products offered in the marketplace. Section 781 of this bill would needlessly be arbitrarily change the definition of legal hemp rather than responsibly regulating the market. And in an additional quote, this would effectively turn out the lights on America's legal hemp farmers, preempt the work being done in states to create regulatory framework for hemp products, and restrict consumer choice for the tens of millions of Americans who use hemp-derived products, May said. And approximately 20% of American adults report using CBD or a hemp-derived product in the preceding 12 months, and these products are here. They are widespread, and they are not going away. As the failed war on drugs has shown, provisions like this drive out responsible actors from the industry and embolden shady black market actors who care not for consumer safety or for the protection of children, rather than have a substantive, open debate on the future of hemp policy in America. Prohibitionists slipped this provision into a must-pass government funding bill, forcing members of Congress to choose between voting their conscience on hemp and paying our military service members. This is wrong, she says. Mace said that she opposed the hemp provisions when prohibitionists sought to include it in last year's U.S. Department of Agriculture and Food and FDA appropriations bill, and I continue to oppose this language. In the year before the provision takes effect, I will work tirelessly to reverse this harmful language and create a common-sense regulatory framework which protects American children, ensures product quality, and preserves access to products used by tens of millions of Americans, she said. As currently drafted, however, the bill Mace is circulating does not contain such a regulatory framework, and several hemp industry stakeholders told Marijuana Moment on Tuesday that there's internal concern about the Congresswoman's standalone bill for that reason. The sources stress that it's imperative any alternative policy solution doesn't simply reverse the ban, but also specifically addresses the regulatory concerns that have arisen since hemp was legalized. And they also said that there are bipartisan lawmakers in both chambers working to craft such legislation that could be introduced by the year's end. But beyond hemp, May said last year that she's a believer her state's Reform Act to federally legalize marijuana in the ideal vehicle for reform. She has not yet reintroduced that legislation in the 119th Congress, and at the time, the Congresswoman also weighed in on another controversial issue. Updated guidance from a GOP policy committee she sits on specifically urged members to oppose a marijuana banking reform bill and the Cannabis Users Restoration of Eligibility, better known as the CURE Act, she sponsored on marijuana-related security clearance denials, you guys. Well, look at that. Nancy Mace out here fighting for freedom and having fun, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
This is just going to get more complicated.
Yeah, right?
Once they draw a line in the sand here, now I think it's going to be difficult for some of these big corporations who have been playing around with this not have their fingerprints on the next moves. The alcohol industry has publicly said they oppose this, but behind the curtains, they're trying to get a hold of this market as much as possible. And there's just multiple layers here. And if you combine that with the DOJ is not going to oppose the Boyce-Schuler petition for certiorari to overturn Raich. I mean, there's so many gears in spin right now. I would like to have them all pull their pants down and expose them for who they are and what they're trying to do. And let's just be honest about this. No kids ever died from this.
Exactly.
You can go to the store and your kid stands there and watch you buy a bottle of Jameson. But, the children, more kids die from alcohol than from this. So we need to have a little bit more honesty and above board about this. But that's not how politics works. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they do what the fuck they want to do and pretend like they're not doing that. I just hope people like Nancy will call them out.
Right.
Okay. If you want to be part of this, stand up and say, hey, I'm an alcohol industry. We want this market to be able to have low dose, up to 10 milligrams of THC in a drink you can buy next to alcohol. Why not say that? Let's stop playing games. And tell some of these guys like Kevin Savett, we like your money, but you're a fucking idiot. Get out of here. Or have them come in and tell us exactly how you feel. Let's talk about this. Because the game's being played here. There's an industry up. Rand Paul has already staked his claim. We're going for the market that's up. We want people to be employed. We don't want this going backwards. It sounds like Nancy Mace is in the same state of mind. This is an industry, okay? And we've been fighting about stupid shit for too long now. Let's talk about it as an industry, see what the federal government can do. Get the hell out of the way here with minimal regulations and let the states do this.
Thank you, Dale. I am going crazy with people coming to my content to troll on this, and we're trying to help them.
I know. People are crazy. They're wackadoodles.
You go through hemp. Protect hemp is the next step towards a removal from the schedule. For everyone in the industry who's watching, they hate that word, deschedule. They don't like that word. They can't use it. They can use other words. Removal from the controlled substance list. Same thing, different words, right? I know. Politics, right?
Yeah.
Here's the other thing.
Tomato.
I feel like, and what did we talk about last week? We talked about if the Democrats don't make this their issue, hemp and marijuana are the same. I understand in California you have a connotation of the words that applies to your local area and also your regulatory frameworks. And I've been trying to explain there is a connotation to these words in other states that is different than yours. This is why it is so hard to make national policy. When we peel the onion back, we can see prohibiting more cannabinoids is not really the answer. Prohibiting seeds, not really the answer. And in the red states, this is a kitchen table issue. You're going to see Republicans take up the cloth. But do you think they're going to take up the cloth with the same banner as let's deschedule marijuana?
No.
You're speaking the wrong language. And I keep trying to explain it. We're saying the same thing in different tongues. And it gets frustrating sometimes. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit wrapped tight because I didn't have enough blunts. I accidentally smoked both of them and thought I only smoked one. So, no, but the deal is it's hard when you're mediating because we're working with legislators to try to help them understand the issue from your perspective. And then you've got retailers in different states attacking you for not doing it their way.
That's messed up. You didn't do it their way, Shaun. That's messed up. It's messed up, Shaun. I can't believe you didn't think they did it better.
I know, exactly, and that's exactly what it feels like. I'm trying to do sets in the gym and just casually scroll and it bop, bop, bop.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
welcome to the real world.
The deal is we have
called
to
adulting,
speak.
Shaun.
I do not tolerate that behavior in my real life, so I won't tolerate it on my Instagram either.
Yeah.
But the deal is we need to start to get them we have to help them see the parity in language and how they can both get to the same goal, which all of our goal is something like removal from controlled substances schedule or descheduling, right? But you have to the Republicans are going to take this and frame it in their own way. I think they're going to do it through hemp, and we need to be very mindful. I really do love working with both sides of the aisle when I see that everyone is actually trying to get a good job done. And I've seen a lot more of that in hemp than I have with marijuana. One thing I am concerned about is if we sign on too early with I want to see if Democrats campaign for reschedule or deschedule.
They're going to campaign.
If they campaign for reschedule, I don't trust that deal.
They are. Well, first of all, Shaun, they already have campaigned for reschedule. They already have.
I know, but that was an option on the table. Now you have another option through the hemp programs, which are the same thing, but with less regulation.
They're not going to support that.
It doesn't matter if they support it. It's a populist issue. So they need to get behind it or they're going to run into other issues. I understand right now, perhaps we're leaning on whatever is going to happen with Epstein. Like, we look at campaign season, and if I'm looking at it from a PR perspective, I don't take a side because because I'm a veteran, it's like brainwashed in there. You got to be neutral.
Oh, you're so funny.
If I'm looking at campaign season, I think the Republicans are going to use hemp to push this further. Let's see what actually gets out of the Congress. Please call your Congress members and ask them to support the removal of Section 781. And then on top of that, recognize that this may go through anyway because it's excellent campaign material. And sometimes they do that. And they're going to lean hard on Epstein files right now. And I would love to see them
I can't wait.
Did
you see the vote? There was only one guy that voted against this. Just one.
I don't want to detract from cannabis.
Just
news.
one.
I just want to. Yeah, but you're going to lean on that. That will only carry so far if you don't actually have fully unredacted files released.
We're going to see what's going to come out.
I can only spin so many cycles, I'm
going to see.
And I don't think you're going to get unredacted files if I'm going to be.
You know why, Shaun? Because
it's campaign season.
No, it's because you can't handle the truth.
Oh my God. No, I think the nation is ready. I think, but I'm trying to let the industry know. I hope that we all come together on this and stop the nonsense, because what it looks like to some legislators is a political chip. And I would hate to see everyone played for campaign season. I really would like to see us use this to let's leverage this and work in partnership so we can get this over the finish line. It may not be the path to deschedule or reschedule, or not reschedule, but removal from the controlled substances list. Remember that phrase. It may not be the pathway you expected, but it is a pathway and it's worth protecting. And we can talk about it more when we talk about Texas, because Texas is carrying on. We're continuing to regulate our market.
You have anything you want to throw in there, Chris, before we move on this?
Sorry about that, Chris.
Too much. Let's not go off on a tangent with all the Epstein stuff here. But
it's coming.
I mean, ideologically, I always say I agree, but I don't think realistically we'll ever see descheduling in our lifetimes. The politicians are throwing the ball back and forth across the aisle. Is it hemp? Is it this? But I mean, the term controlled substances means that they want control of it. It will be rescheduled. It'll be classified as this, as that. But there's too much money at stake for them to hand it to the people and let us have a deregulated market that isn't highly taxed. They want to tax this thing to death until it's cheaper than coffee. When there's not a penny of profit they can squeeze out of it anymore, then they'll give it to us. But that probably won't happen for another 50 years. And that's just me, being pragmatic and realistic about it. That's would I love to free the plant? Would I love to see it, have open access? Yes. But right now, what we're talking just semantics as far as what is hemp, what they're defining it as, how they're throwing this around, and rescheduling is not the best option, but. Unfortunately, I feel like most of this is out of our hands. And, it sucks that a couple bad players have, and Jason's going to give me crap about calling it a loophole, but it is a loophole.
It's not a loophole. It's total bullshit.
this loophole got stretched wide, and all the vultures left regulated cannabis and
All
left
the
the black
vultures.
market, and they got into THCA hemp, and they've ruined it for everyone. And it's
They've
gonna
ruined
take
it.
away from CBD.
Hold on, Shaun. Hold on. Let Chris finish, Shaun. Hold on. Go ahead, Chris.
Unfortunately, these are the consequences of the opportunists and the vultures that jumped into this, and unfortunately, destroyed this market. But it is a loophole. The 2018 Farm Bill specifically said when we're testing for Delta 9, we're supposed to decarboxylate first, and conveniently, most states forgot about that. There's a reason that Colorado doesn't legally produce THCA hemp, because it's been in their state farm bill since 2016, I believe, that you have to decarb it before you test it. That means everything has Delta 9 in it. So, like I said, the unfortunate consequence of this is that we're probably going to lose a lot of CBD product. We're probably going to have to, reduce what this market and what this product is for maybe temporarily until something else comes along. And this is going to be a battle that's going to continue to be waged for, I think, a long time. This doesn't mean the complete end of all hemp, but like I said, it's like we're the normal people here, and this ball just keeps getting thrown over us, and we're never going to catch it. So that's what I have to say about it.
Cute little analogy.
Calling people who have you're forgetting that in the red states, a lot of legacy operators who would have been venerated in California, you're calling them vultures. You're lumping them in, and they built this from the ground up. There's mom and pops out there.
Vultures I'm talking about.
Right, but you are doing that when you generalize in that way. That is what you're doing, and then we get harassment from random people who are going broke.
Did you go to the trade show in Vegas? Did you see some of those guys with the booths selling weed? That's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about
There's tons of vultures. There's tons of vultures in the space, and on that, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schaffer. And Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He is blunt. But he doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet, they're nasty, they're going to turn your teeth yellow and other things yellow. But he is honest. And he's unconcerned with public opinions, your opinion, his opinion, her opinion, and anyone else's opinion for that matter. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, is your favorite Tio Loco. And you can now find him at his own law office, at the law office of none other than Dale Schaffer.
Good morning, everybody. Tio Loco here again.
Yeah.
My favorite full of shiticus. My story this morning comes out of NJ Biz Daily, and the headline is From Wine to Weed, Women Are Driving THC Beverage Growth. This is from Margaret Jackson yesterday, and this caught my attention because I've been a girl dad for 50 years, and my first baby is perimenopausal. If you don't understand what that means, a lot of chocolate and back out of the room slowly, and sometimes run for your own personal safety.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Now I've got 2 daughters and 6 granddaughters. Okay. So when I read this story, and Jason, you love to piss all over the beverage industry.
Yeah.
But what I'm telling you right now is that this story highlights that if you don't have to go to a dispensary and you can pick up, and I think they call them gentle dose THC.
Gentle dose,
here.
yes. I've heard that, yeah.
So that if you and your girlfriends are sitting around there having a glass of wine and you're powering this down, and it's technology such that within a few minutes it begins to kick in, then, I think that market has begun to grow, and that market does not just go away. And what we have right now in this country is this, when they snuck in this hemp ban into this, let's open the government back up again, it threw a gauntlet down. And that gauntlet is going to give a year before a lot of serious good things begin to happen. I don't think, Nancy Mace is the first one to stand up and say, let's talk about this. There's going to be more momentum in the Congress now to try to deal with this. I can't tell you, I'm not playing Nostradamus here. Probably more like Cassandra. Whatever I tell you, no one's going to believe anyway. But there are markets out there. As you peel the layers of the onion back, we've been talking about the heavy smokers, the people who want the top shelf weed, they want Appalachian stuff. I mean, they really are the connoisseurs. But I've been telling people for years that if you compare this to the alcohol industry, there are average level, consumables in the alcohol industry, and there are things like that equivalent in the cannabis industry. This is one of them. Now, the market's not huge. I think they talk it's 1.4 billion right now, which is nothing to sneeze at. Okay, but the potential is very large there. And if the alcohol industry will step up and be honest, I think they want a piece of this. Okay, because they can have it on the shelves, and women especially, or people can choose between Jameson, some bottle of Scotch, Lafroig or something like that, a bottle of red wine, or I can have one of my, non-carbonated, non-sugar added, something that doesn't taste horrible, but you can sit there with your girlfriends and chug it down. I think that market will continue because it's got some momentum already. The other part of this that I have no problem talking to women about, because like I say, I've been a girl dad for a long time. I've been through menopause as a son, as a husband, as a father, and it's like, holy shit, guys have their own problems, but this is a mess for women. If the message gets out to them that this is a safe alternative to help you sleep at night, deal with some of those emotional and anxiety-ridden problems you get from your hormones going all over the place, I think that's a discussion we need to have. Outside of just, let's fight about whether it's cannabis or not. It's like, ladies, when you're sweating like a whore in church, okay, and nobody can talk to you without you wanting to smack them or cut their throat. I mean, Jason, you were on, Heather was having one of those days this morning before the show started, and we're talking, Jason knows my daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, and she's pretty blunt with me. And she uses gummies and things like that because it helps her with her nighttime problems being perimenopausal. Okay. I have been talking about this subject with my sisters, my mom, my wives, let's say that because I don't pick women very well, and my daughters. It's like, let's be honest now. Okay. If you're going to run to the store and they've got a shelf of things to take when you want to kill your husband or your boyfriend for whatever, and you go, you can take this and it works much better than those other chemicals, there's a market there. It's a place where you can be honest with women, with themselves and with their partners. This will help. And that market is there. And I think it's going to be another impetus to try and do something. Okay. And I'm going to champion Rand Paul. He recognizes in the Senate, we've got an industry going here. I hate regulations. I hate overtaxation. Get out of the way. He's going to be ringing bells. But both houses are now recognizing that the toothpaste is out of the tube. Okay. What the hell are you going to do now? Because, I mean, I talked to my friends Chris Conrad and Jeff Jones a couple of weeks back about, Trump's gearing up the war on drugs in the Caribbean. We want cannabis, all parts of it, to be out of the war on drugs. Please, please, please do not gear us back up and drag us into that shit. I think there's good arguments now. Keep this away from how we look at fentanyl and heroin and crank and cocaine. Let's get it out of that. This is a much softer substance. Let's treat it more like alcohol. And let's put our thinking caps on about this. And I would really implore everybody, demand that whoever's involved in this fight, okay, let's be honest about who you are, who you represent. And if not, my advice is pull their pants down and expose them for the art. Let's have an honest discussion. And let's get the Kevin Sabets out there who are trying to say, what about the children? Yeah, fuck you. No kid has ever eaten this and died. I've watched children die from eating Tylenol, okay? So stop it. This is not poisonous. Let's talk about it more like it's something to be regulated honestly and not prohibited or call people names about. I could go on and on here, but I'm going to throw it back at you guys because this is a subject we're going to talk about. And as a girl dad, I'm telling you, I talk about this in my world a lot. I'm going to throw it back at what do you guys think?
Just to play devil's advocate here, I mean, why can't a menopausal woman just reach for the bong? Why does it have to be a beverage?
I mean, technically, if you drink the bong water, it would be a beverage.
I think there's just a lot of over speculation on this whole beverage thing, and I agree with Dale. Let's set the whole hemp argument aside on how we define it. Let's just talk about the product itself. I've always had qualms with these THC beverages because THC is not water soluble. You're drinking nano emulsifiers, and I question the efficacy of these products. I don't think it's going to take some huge market share from alcohol. I don't think people are going to sit around and share a 6-pack of these things.
Exactly.
People that want to ingest THC, 95% of them are going to smoke it. 90% of them, at least. I think the beverages fit into a small sliver within the edibles overall market share, which is 8 to 10% of a mature market. Some people want to have a little sip of something like that or eat a gummy or a chocolate. That's great. I'm not against it. But this over speculation of growth in this sector, I think, is secretly driven by these alcohol companies that have already put up a lot of these THC beverages. Yep. I don't think drinking THC is the best delivery method, in my opinion, just from a technical standpoint.
I'm totally agreeing with you. And these stories totally get propped up by these beverage manufacturers because they have so much invested. I read the same exact MJ Biz article like 8 years ago, but it was vape pens and girl power and all that stuff. And, and all these women are hanging out, vaping now. And now they're switching it to alcohol. And it's just kind of using women as a prop to promote something, in my opinion.
Or it's recognizing some of the data out there as the woman.
Oh boy, as the woman.
As the woman. I don't want to always smell like smoke. You guys know I smoke blunts. I smoke a lot. I have high tolerance. It is what it is. But I am excited for the beverage category development. Like, that's cool. You do your thing. I think you're missing an entire market that's developing, and there's going to be future technology. We have to push the envelope and keep figuring it out, and you don't figure it out if you don't iterate. We have beverages that don't have the sticky problems here in Texas. We have
sticky problems? Beverages
that have unique terpene formulations, some with THCV that's grown here in the Lone Star State by a local farmer, and it's pretty damn good. Oh boy. And it's just like this is what is I get. I think we had such a tunnel vision on THC and smoking and the cannabis smoking culture. Mm-hmm. We're completely forgetting there is like this normalized market share called the rest of America, which is like a pretty big percentage. And they just want to incorporate it into their daily lives. I am looking forward to beverages. I know of one rolling out soon that I'm really excited about. But until it rolls out, I'm not going to say anything. But, beverages, like I go to Cosmic Saltillo here in Austin, and I can get, instead of an alcoholic drink, I can get the Liquid Sunshine, which it's pink. It has coconut. It's got B12. Taurine, it has caffeine, it has THC and CBD. And I can also add a dose of Kana with the K, if I want to have a different elevated experience. And then I feel nice and good, but I never feel drunk, and I never feel out of control, and I never feel like I could put myself in a very dangerous or vulnerable situation. I'll tell you that much. And as far as people crushing packs, I think the scientists will figure that one out pretty soon here. And that is something that will happen. I've had folks I've invited folks over, and you have a couple cans or cases, especially for consumers who are not typical cannabis consumers. And they literally were fighting over the cans of Tejas Tonic. Shout out Aaron Owens. But it's delicious. It's I think, yes, there's always going to be a market for flower. I love flower, respect flower, love the market. I would love to see a hash market develop a little bit more across the U.S., like a real hash market.
We have a real hash market across the U.S.
And then beverages are also a real category, and they're a more normalized category.
They're not.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree.
I totally disagree with that. They're not.
I mean, I believe in personal freedom. If you want to drink it, drink it.
Yeah,
you know?
go for it.
I don't think that it's going to be as big as all these people are talking about.
Exactly. They're hyping this stuff up way too much. You know what I mean?
I think it's a bunch of HOA Karens that hate the smell of smoke, and they want to like compartmentalize this as the new thing.
Yep, exactly.
Well, let me just say that yellow sunshine used to be acid I took back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah, just drop a tab. Yes.
But
there's no acid available.
To take the market we see today and extrapolate that to 10 years from now, I don't know that we can do that, because those of us who are in the market right now, you were doing weed a long time ago, and we got the opportunity to step up. We did. Okay. We do not have a mature market yet. We may have a mature medical market to a certain extent, or recreation, but the market has not been opened up. So there's a lot of things we really don't know. My point in this is that there's a market out there that is not really being tapped. And most marketing has been towards the serious stoners. I agree with you, Chris. I'd rather just smoke a blunt than drink these things, because I think they're ratchet myself.
Yeah.
That's my own personal opinion. And if market survey says people are doing this, then there's going to be an opportunity to market. They're skewed.
They're skewed. They're skewed.
As a girl dad, anything that can help with, perimenopausal symptoms that they struggle with, because there really isn't a lot of good answers right now. I encourage that. I encourage more discussions about this. And this is just a beginning discussion, because over the next year, we are going to be talking about efforts on both sides of the aisle and from multiple industries to try and find a reasonable answer to this. Because I don't think we're going to go back to prohibition. Even if people want to do that, that big middle ground now that's in the 40+% of undecided voters are the ones we got to look at. And people in that category, they don't buy all the horseshit being thrown from either side. You look at this more practically, and it's not the biggest issue in the world, but the black market is the one that's just salivating. You guys make this illegal again, because you can't enforce prohibition. That's what we all understand. So my argument is, where we came from is not sustainable. Where we're going to has to be more a line of sight and well thought out, because this plant has been around for a long time. It's not going anywhere. And how are we going to manage this? And this is more of the medical part of it, not the serious medical part of it. This is, you can go get prescription drugs. This is more of a naturopathic solution, or at least a treatment for things that women struggle with, that men kind of chuckle about until you're a girl dad. And it's like, this ain't funny no more. Right? It really is not.
Also want to point out, one, just a note, if she's on her period and she has a beverage and a blunt in her hand and she's still telling you off, you could be wrong. And then two, it might not be the hormones.
Cannabis is you, Dale.
It's
no,
not,
Dale,
it's me.
Dale, I get it. Dale's a dad, and he's. It was really cute when you described your daughter, and she's perimenopausal. I was just like, oh my god.
You know who could fix the perimenopausal issue?
Guys, I don't really want to hear the men weigh in on. Well,
this is a true story. The solution to the.
I really want to just make one more point.
All right, go ahead.
Before we talk about women's health.
Go ahead. It's not joking.
It's important to note that the alcohol industry is made up. It's 3 tiers, right? So there's the producers, the distributors, and the retailers. And both the retailers and distributors would like to see hemp beverages continue, because they're making a fuckload of money. It's only the manufacturers.
Yeah, because they're selling water.
I was actually going to make that same closing argument.
People don't want to drink as much.
Yeah, and this fits the form factor and the model for restaurants, bars, grocery stores, liquor stores, your Safeways and your Krogers and all of that that are missing out. They're probably never going to sell flour, right? So this is, but that's sales driven. This is so it's money, it's greed that's being involved here, and they're trying to put a positive spin on it. So if you want to have beverages, let them have beverages, but I just don't think it's going to be as big as people think.
It's not. You're right.
it's not spin. I am the veteran who relies on these products.
Spin.
I am
It's
so
totally
sick of this.
spin. It's totally spin, Shaun. Just because you like it, you're not the market. You're one consumer.
Flour, you know what? They won't sell flour if you don't slowly walk them through it. You're not going to get your product on mainstream shelves if you don't warm the bath up. And you want to come in cold and cocky, and that's fine. But I am so sick of this elitist bullshit. I am sick of it. I am the veteran who relies on those products. Those products are effective. And the fact that you don't want to compete in that market is fine. Go and win in your space.
We already
Why
are. We stay winning. We
doing?
stay winning, Shaun. That's the name of the game. Is stay winning.
And concerned.
And speaking of
I'm the only girl dad on this show, and I'm telling you, you will get murdered in your sleep, Jason. If you pull this shit with a bunch of girls around you, they will stab you in your sleep. I'm just telling you.
I've been stabbed plenty of times. I get it. I'm here for it. You know what I mean? I'll be the turkey on Thanksgiving. Y'all can just carve me up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Break out the carving knives.
You know, you've had an overnight party with girls in their period pants and really talking shit. Oh. You don't understand how to deal with women when they just want to be dealt with honestly. And don't talk to me like I'm a guy and want to bang you all the time. Let's talk about I'm a human being. I got feelings and I'm going forward. And I'd like to be treated like I'm a decent human being. And that's what being a girl dad's about. And you can make all the jokes you want, Jason, but my girls love me, and they're going to wipe my ass when I'm old.
I know it. I know it. I believe it. I believe it, Dale.
I just think that the beverages are going to be used as another tool to close out mom and pop producers because it's going to be the Anheuser-Busch's and these big guys. A small farmer up on the hill isn't going to be able to afford a bottling line. They're going to have to go begging some bigger company to put their product into a beverage. And once again, it's just another door being shut on small producers that would otherwise be able to compete with raw flour.
Literally shouted out a small local producer and farmer who grows his own, and people in Colorado buy his stuff too, guys. People in California buy his products too. Like maybe in your backyard, but it's not true for everyone, and that's what's so frustrating. It's like it's not about whether she's on her period or not. It's about, can you handle a different lens of perspective? Well, that's really all it is.
Let me give you another lens of perspective because I figured out the solution to the whole perimenopausal predicament, Dale. You know the solution?
I'm listening.
Episodes of Perry Mason on repeat because he could solve any mystery, Dale. And on that, we're going to roll to our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't.
I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months.
I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me.
We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Yeah, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app.
Where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees, no limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfer, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash, as quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
And we are back, you guys. And we are going to roll right into Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mom. She's a mediator, so she likes to try to argue before the whole room starts to argue. And she's a veteran who served our country proud. That's right, it is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
Friends,
yeah, there we go.
hello.
Yes, we can hear you
Here
now.
we are.
Perfect, yes.
There we are. I will warn, I am on low battery, and I apologize for having ADD.
Okay.
Oh, let's see if we can get through this. My story
get
comes
it.
to you from the Texas Tribune. Texas moves ahead with regulating hemp industry as federal ban looms. TABC intends to proceed with the adoption of permanent regulations on the hemp industry in Texas, despite the potential ban. This is brought to you from the Texas Tribune. Journalist Paul Cobbler, who I had the pleasure of meeting the other day, actually. The Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission moved forward on Tuesday with its efforts to regulate the sale of consumable hemp products as questions swirled around the future of the industry due to federal restrictions on products approved by Congress last week. A provision of the funding bill for the U.S. Department of Agriculture that ended the longest government shutdown on record also undid a provision of the 2018 Farm Bill that first allowed Texas's $8 billion hemp industry to thrive. The funding bill bans the sale of hemp-derived products with more than 0.4 milligrams of tetrahydrocannabinol. I got a little dry mouth from hitting my little pipe earlier. Or THC. And the psychoactive element also found in marijuana. That provision, which criminalizes almost all consumable hemp products sold across the country, will put Texas's law in direct conflict with the federal law when it takes effect next November, if it takes effect. In spite of impending federal restrictions, TABC intends to proceed with the adoption of permanent regulations on the hemp industry in Texas that will replace emergency rules adopted by the commission in September that barred the sale of THC products to anyone younger than 21. Advocates and trade representatives who testified at TABC meeting on Tuesday said they do not expect the federal restrictions to be the final word on the debate. What we understand is that this is still a conversation that is happening at the federal level. Shaun Salvaje, a veteran, oh my God, Inception, who uses consumable hemp products and an advocate for cannabis reform. I'm a veteran who uses the products. What do you know? I showed up, told the commission, you have a unique opportunity to regulate an industry that's built by Texans for Texans. The commissioners are following the executive order Governor Greg Abbott issued in September that directed both TABC and the Department of State Health Services to impose stricter regulations on hemp businesses they license, like an age restriction on sales to minors and mandatory ID verification at the point of sale. That executive order came after Abbott in June vetoed a legislative ban. We know everything that happened. TABC's new rules. TABC's rules are, here's what happened yesterday. They made an amendment and they pulled back that one strike rule. So TABC's rules are largely aligned with the emergency rules it approved in September, which means you only have to card if you are a TABC license holder. You just need to card people who are buying products in your stores. But they did pull back on some strict measures. One of those measures was the one strike provision that would allow TABC to revoke the license of any business found to have sold products to a minor or failed ID check. The permanent rules allow for the agency to temporarily suspend licenses for less egregious violations. 2 trade group representatives of convenience stores in the state of Texas that they testified that they support a less punitive approach to potential violations, arguing the automatic cancellation under the emergency risk rules, putting stores out of business over a simple mistake. And I'll tell you, these convenience store owners are not just any old convenience store owners. These are legacy convenience stores we've had in the Panhandle for a while. Toot and Totem was there. And it was really good to see them there. They want to be able, if other people are licensed to sell it and they're licensed to sell other products, which they have to card and ID for, alcohol, over-the-counter medicines, etc., they want to be able to also participate in this market. And that's really important in places like the Panhandle of Texas, where there isn't a lot of product available for people who are, especially older Texans, who are looking for a little bit of pain relief. So beverages are actually playing a huge part in that demographic. Another fight. So Toot and Totem showed up. It was a really nice meeting. We had a good laugh. I met the commission. Commissioner Hassan Mack said the agency intends to act regardless of actions at the federal level. We're going to do what the governor tells us to do. That's all we can do right now until we get further guidance from the governor's office. Mack.
Oops.
Did her battery die? I think her battery died.
Max said.
There she's
Abbott,
back.
and we all agree with that.
Head out for a second there, Shaun.
Of course, we all agree with Greg Abbott.
Yeah, of course.
Abbott.
100%. I ride with Gary Abbott on that one. Yeah. Well, Shaun, I don't know where you went, Shaun.
She warned us her battery was going to die.
She did warn us. She did. That she did do. Shaun Salvaje. Well, I mean, this story, I mean, of course, Texas is going to move ahead with their hemp regulations. I didn't expect them not to.
Abbott has not provided additional guidance to the agency since the federal restrictions were approved, because that's still not even done.
She's back.
Oh, it's cutting out.
Yeah, you've been
cutting out?
Yeah, you've been cutting out. I think
I'm going to lose power.
Yeah.
Maybe let's go back. Let's go.
Yeah,
you're drawing mustaches on your picture.
Yeah. Oh, there she goes. She just dropped. Oh, did she? Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, on that topic, of course, Texas needs to protect their hemp if it's the only thing they have.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they revise the USDA Farm Bill, they don't have to invoke it if, Texas self-regulates and it doesn't theoretically cross state lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not the attorney here. Maybe Dale can weigh in a little more on those details. But as far as I see it, and Texas chose to go this route to use hemp to kind of backdoor legalize their cannabis or provide some kind of access. So they need to, protect it or do something, regulate it. I get it, because otherwise there's zero access and it's back to the black market for everybody.
Well, not just that, but also at the same time, they can't just sit around and be like, oh, you know what, the federal government says they're going to do something, so now we're not going to do anything. Like after they just had this whole big special session in regards with everything has to do with hemp, they have to justify and say that they did something to justify all the taxpayer money that they wasted holding the special session.
Well, I just would point out that marijuana is federally illegal.
Mm-hmm.
How many states actually have local laws about it? California decided back in 2008 that nothing at the federal level affects what they do under state law with marijuana or cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
That's been pretty clear since the Controlled Substances Act was passed. And the hemp regulations, they could say, oh, we're not going to allow anything out there with any THC at the federal level. And states still have the power in the 10th Amendment to go, well, we're going to do this ourselves under our own laws.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of the more complicating factors we've been dealing with cannabis regulation. And I think that there's a line that's been drawn. We got a year to figure this shit out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's going to be a lot of movement on both sides of the aisle. Shaun pointed out that if the Dems don't fix this, the R's are going to go all of it. Okay, so they got some momentum now on the R side to do something about. I'd be happy to support Nancy Mace.
Yeah.
Anybody that Rand Paul. I mean, I don't have a particular aversion to anybody trying to fix this problem because it's bipartisan. I mean, people smoke weed and use these products, whether D or R, independent, it don't matter. They're using it. And I think people have got fatigued now about the nonsense that's been going on. And I think they are receptive to the idea if you don't fix this, the black market will continue to do it. And you don't get taxes, you don't get shit out of it. You can't, there's no age control, there's no testing of this stuff in the black market. Can we please pull our head out of our ass and talk about this and come up with something reasonable? I think it's about time we do that.
Fair enough. I think it's about time that we do something too. It's all about weed for the people, Dale. That's the name of the game.
There you go.
Yes. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Hempcrete, all of that type of stuff. And on that, we're going to roll right in to Mr. Chris Vaos. Christopher Vaos is a seasoned cannabis industry professional with over 15 years experience in commercial cultivation. He has led large-scale indoor greenhouse and outdoor operations across various U.S. markets, specializing in cultivation optimization, team leadership, and cost-efficient scaling. With a background in engineering and a data-driven, science-based approach, Christopher consistently delivers strong results with strong THC numbers and plant health, productivity, and operational efficiency. That's right, it is none other than Mr. Christopher Vaos.
All right, and this article comes to us from Lynchburg, Virginia, about a topic we were just talking about, blowing smoke in people's faces.
Yeah.
So, Republican State Senator Mark Peake and Delegate Wendell Walker are split over whether the General Assembly would pass a bill that would increase the penalty for those who expose children to secondhand marijuana smoke while they are in an enclosed space. The Lynchburg City Council and leaders hosted their annual legislative dinner on Tuesday evening at the University of Lynchburg, discussed their recently approved 2026 legislative agenda with state lawmakers. Council approved 18 items that they would like for State Senator Peake and Delegate Walker to see if they can get passed in the General Assembly. According to the city, those 18 items fall under the following 5 categories: lifelong learning, public safety, quality of life, economic development, and infrastructure. They give you the whole council's full legislative agenda here on a link. I'm not going to read all that. Both men said that since Virginia Democrats have control of both the governor's mansion and General Assembly, it may be difficult to get things passed. State Senator Mark Peake said it will be an uphill battle. They're young and more progressive people coming in, and that's going to be tough. While Delegate Walker agreed that they will have to work hard to get things done, he believes teamwork will help solve these issues. When I go to Richmond, I leave my politics at home, Walker said. It's about our relationship with the community in which we live and finding ways to work together. Among the 18 ideas the council presented, one item deals with children being impacted by secondhand marijuana smoke. Lynchburg Mayor Larry Taylor and Councilwoman Stephanie Reed introduced this change after they heard from teachers that children were coming to school after being exposed to marijuana smoke and not being able to learn. Both Taylor and Reed are seeking to change the code and prohibit anyone from smoking marijuana in an enclosed space with a child. They both would like for that person to be charged with child abuse or neglect if they're charged with doing it. Taylor and Reed also want to see the charge increase from a Class 4 misdemeanor to a Class 1. However, both Peake and Walker believe it may not pass. Is this something that can be taken up in Richmond? It can be, and it will die in the first subcommittee meeting. Delegate Walker said, I don't mean to say that it won't happen, but I carried that bill before, so I know what it's like to try persuading other colleagues that this is a serious health issue. The first time I put this bill in, I didn't have the medical support behind me that we have now. I'm hoping with medical support we have from doctors, hospitals, and things like that, that they can get a
We lose Chris.
Yeah, we're losing Chris. We're getting attacked by solar flares apparently.
Wow.
Today. Interesting.
I think I'm back.
Oh, Sean's back.
I don't know.
I hear you, Shaun.
We don't speak, but we hear you.
Yeah.
Hear you.
I think
Well, this is one of those problems we've been dealing with for a while about, the children. Yeah, come on. About 1,000 people a week die from smoking tobacco.
Yeah.
Okay. And not a single person has ever died from smoking pot. It doesn't cause cancer. That's the reason we have these secondhand smoke
But the kids aren't learning. The kids aren't learning because they smell like weed in school, Dale.
That's horse shit. Because you don't get it by osmosis like that. There's just not enough in secondhand smoke. This is not a Scythian, where you're sitting in there breathing concentrated smoke. No, just stop it.
I know, Dale. I'm with you. But you know what? Here's the thing: is I always thought that if you were smoking cannabis around kids, that you could have those children taken away. Like I always thought that was like a real thing. But this how they're making it sound is that it's not. But I know when I was a kid, if you got caught using drugs around kids, CPS is coming to take your kids away. That's just how it is. And so I don't understand, and that's Virginia, like the most southern state in the country. Why their laws would be any different than here? If anything, they would be more harsher. You know what I mean? So I'm confused.
We put laws in place, Jason, to stop CPS from doing that. They now have to demonstrate something other than they found weed around some kid. They don't allow them to just take them anymore, which I'm in favor of. I'm in favor of supporting and protecting children, but because your parents smoke pot doesn't mean you should take the kids away from them. That's nonsensical. I don't think they're going to get support for that, and they shouldn't. There's other things that you don't want kids involved in with weed. They shouldn't be able to buy it and stuff like that. Not because it's going to kill them, but we don't want kids putting this in their brains when they're still developing.
Exactly.
We don't understand all the stuff that it does.
The less is more scenario, right, Dale? Less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just
for medical so you can't taking kids from people who are consuming for medical needs doesn't make a lot of sense, and just ripping kids out of their home is generally a bad policy.
Yeah.
What do you guys
Dale said, you really need to prove that,
I'm just telling you what was happening when I was a kid. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, but I think we've gone beyond that. The average person understands it's not like you're smoking meth or shooting heroin. Okay, those are different animals altogether. You can go buy pot at the store, and if your kids are taken away from smoking it, that just doesn't add up.
But it's a gateway
I think
drug,
we're beyond most of that hysteria right now, I hope. But it still continues to pop up. It's everyone that is against it. Oh, what about the children? Yeah, what about the children?
Dale, but it's a gateway drug.
Where there's evidence that it's harmful to children. Let's just put it on the table.
It's a gateway drug, though, Dale. It's the gateway.
Whatever the first substance you use is your gateway. Beer. I mean, that was the first thing we got all of was beer.
Chris, you had something you were saying? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, the science of secondhand smoke, shows that you really have to be like in a hot boxed, sealed car with like thick clouds of smoke to even move your blood THC levels.
You know what? Actually, I know a doctor that actually did a study on this, and he said that you actually would have to be in a vehicle that was encapsulated, like that was so dense that basically you would die of suffocation before you actually developed a contact high. That is
exactly. I think
bullshit.
that this is just another way to get intrusion into people's homes, and there's all sorts of bad parenting going on, way more than their kids just smelling like weed and, parents forgot to do the shirt laundry or whatever.
Yeah.
And any kind of secondhand smoke around your kids should be bad. You should know that, whether it's cigarettes or cannabis or whatever it might be. But this just sounds like crazy intrusion and just another reason to get the police state involved in your personal life when you're an otherwise law-abiding citizen.
Mm-hmm. I'm with it. I'm with it. Well, on that. Oh, go ahead, Shaun.
Go smoke on the patio.
I agree with that.
Most parents just go.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't have patios. A lot of people don't have patios. They live in urban environments, and
turn the fan on. Jesus.
Yeah.
Come on, this ain't that hard.
Go with the dryer sheet.
Mm-hmm. That works too. Well, I have some. Maybe you guys will think this is good news to end the show with today. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to think. Thank you for that, Chris. But New York, you guys. New York. Mondami's hard at work, you guys. He's been hard at work. Okay, that's because marijuana prices plummet 17% in New York as the legal market ramps up and competition is high. It's getting cheaper to get high in New York. The average price point has plummeted 17% since legalization in New York State, with a market ramp up that has boosted the availability of marijuana brands in more stores, industry officials said. In 2023, the average unit price for cannabis was $38.61. Now it's $32.15. The State Office of Cannabis Management reports. The number of licensed pot stores in the Empire State has soared past 500, stocking products for a growing group of farmers growing marijuana and more cultivators manufacturing gummies, vapes, and even beverages. Shaun's favorite. Regulators with OCM said it's normal for prices to come down as more pot stores open and more products become available, spurring competition, as has happened in other states that legalize cannabis. Competition is high, and we have all these brands fighting for shelf space, said Brittany Tantalo, president of the New York Cannabis Retail Association. We are seeing more doors open, Tantalo added, referring to the dramatic increase in retail dispensary openings. The average price per unit covers the sales of all cannabis products in the market, and that includes weed, edibles, concentrate, beverages, and vaporizers. For instance, an ounce or 28 grams of weed in flower form could cost $100 or $125, a 50% markup from the wholesale price. A joint can go for $10, while a pack of 5 mini joints or pre-rolls or 2.5 grams could run $25. And vapes at 1 gram could cost $30, according to a pot retailer. In a quote, "There are more cultivators and processors now. When we get a lower wholesale price, we can pass along a lower cost to the customer," said Obert Orduna, the CEO of the Cannabis Palace in Middle Village, Queens. "It's a good thing. It makes us more competitive with the illicit market," he added. And illegal pot dealers don't have the overhead costs or have to pay the 13% in taxes the licensed weed operators do to feed the government coffers, he noted. But prices will go down further after pot merchants just got the okay from the state to offer promotional discounts on their products to veterans, seniors, teachers, and first responders, Orduna said. The New York market has hit higher ground after a rocky 2-year rollout, married by lawsuits and bureaucratic snafus. But weed products in the New York State are still more expensive than the national average in states where marijuana sales are legal, according to the OCM. And in New York City, the average price for the purchase of cannabis is $33.15. But it is only $26.39 in the Buffalo, Western New York region, the lowest in the state to get a buzz. But Long Island weed is the most expensive, with $41.41 per sale. And there are fewer cannabis shops in Long Island because most of the locations have opted out of allowing pot stores in their neighborhoods, including Nassau County. But legal weed shops have generated $1.4 billion with a B dollars in sales this calendar year through October, and figuratively is likely undercounted because some licenses have not submitted self-reported data in recent months, the OCM said in this month marketing report. September and October figures reflect reduced self-reporting compliance, which likely understates actual sales, the report said. That means overall sales could approach $2 billion with a B by the year's end, and the total retail sales are $2.44 billion since the launch of the legal cannabis industry nearly 3 years ago, you guys. Well, New York, their prices are dropping,
But the illicit market ain't dropping. They ain't going nowhere. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. They can do sales now.
Same thing happens in every state.
Right.
It's just a regular market trend. What do they expect? You're going to have black market high prices forever with 500% profit margins?
I think we have to give all the credit to Mondami, bro.
He's that fucking idiot.
Jason, he's not even in office yet.
We got to give him the credit, though. We got to give him the credit.
And you know what's funny about you saying that is that Long Island, those voters voted for Silwa. Or was it Long Island or Staten Island? Long Island proper?
I don't know. But, you know.
They voted for the Republican. They're conservative. That's why they voted the ban.
They got common sense. They got common sense.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, they got
He's not even in office. I don't know how he has anything to do with the price of weed, but he did talk about halalflation. So maybe the price of it dropping a bit is parallel to halalflation.
Maybe, quite possibly. Dale's just shaking his head. Dale.
Well, I just want to point out that just before cannabis became recreational legal in California, there were 1,400 cannabis dispensaries just in LA.
Yep.
So New York's got 500. Big fucking deal. Okay.
Yep.
California has backed away from the numbers, and the black market's just running rampant here. And like Chris said, every place where they actually start rolling, you find out that all those big money amounts that were in your head aren't there. And there, the alcohol industry has probably got some comparables to look at. What's the average price of a bottle of wine, say? Okay. You can spend a couple $100 on them, and that's what everyone in the industry, they want them to keep buying the couple $100 bottle of wine.
Yep.
The average person doesn't do that. They come in and spend $10. And when you spend $10 per bottle of wine, price of grapes drops like a rock.
Yep.
Same thing happens in this industry. Is that the average price is $25 to go in and buy something to get high, and you're not going to be able to to sell a $200 bag of weed when someone's only spending $25. It just doesn't match up. These are economics that my clients at first were just, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. Well, it's too bad. This is where you're going. You better have a plan, a short, medium, and long-term plan to deal with your price dropping out. I think in the triangle now, the price for a pound is below 500 pounds. Yeah, $500. It's just unbelievable.
I mean, Dale, this happened in the wine industry when Charles got a divorce. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys remember that? Because that's when the creation of $2 Chuck came out, was from that the divorce Charles had.
Do we what is the consumer unit price? Because where do we think that is? From what?
What do you mean consumer unit price?
Per gram, because that's what the consumer is thinking of. They're thinking of how many dollars per gram it. Ooh,
it's like $20 a gram. $20 a gram.
I'm sure that hasn't moved as much as wholesale.
Yeah.
Where do you think it is? Where is it? Where is it in? Tell me where it is in California and New York, and because I feel like.
First of all, it depends on who you're buying it from. First of all, Shaun.
It's gonna be only some brands are gonna be able to really promote themselves as super high end, really great product. Overall,
that's because only some of them are.
Y'all tell me. I think $10 a gram is where this usually sits with the consumer market as being a reasonable. I know in California that could be different. It could be more expensive in New York.
Are we talking about the end consumer price, Shaun, or are we talking about a wholesale price? Because I'm confused.
Talk about your consumer price, because that's going to be the number that they.
But see, the consumer price is going to vary wherever you buy it, because every municipality has different tax structure in place, Shaun.
And that's where you have to look at you have to look at it from the consumer's lens, though. These are still numbers. I understand what you're saying.
The consumer's going to buy it from wherever is the closest and the cheapest.
80% of them will.
Yeah, that's where the consumer is going to go. Wherever is the cheapest and the closest.
Right now, the wholesale price is down around $1 to $1.25 a gram. The people producing it. Okay, and when someone offers you, $3 or $4 a gram to put it in a truck and ship it to New York, that's what's happening right now. That's part of what we're dealing with. But if you can get it for $1.50, $2 a gram from the producer, you can't just keep doubling the price every time you touch it. There are, at some point someone's going to produce it for a lot less than you do. And I've got some clients who are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to sell cheap weed. You can buy it for, $10 for an eighth or something like that. Okay. It's cheap. It's, it's not hand trimmed. It's machine trimmed, but it gets you high. It's like a $5 bottle of wine. The industry is still trying to figure this out. And people who didn't have a plan to be tight and watch every nickel are just dying on the vine right now because these prices are fluctuating. And if you needed to make $2 a gram to support your farm and all you can sell it for is $1 a gram, guess what? It's going on the back of a truck to New York or you're going bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem we have in California right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what I would love to see, folks, as you guys kind of navigate your system, and I remembered, thanks for jogging my memory on why Florida was never something I really paid a lot of attention to, because it's not an open market. This is kind of where, but I think it's important to, I'm sad. It's sad that you guys are in the state that you're in.
I'd love to be in Florida. I'd be stoked to be there.
No, I'm talking about the state of the market.
I love Florida.
And the volume of illicit capture. Because you're right. Most consumers are going to go to wherever the margin is lower. And that's why, I don't know, for a while, I think the industry got away with really inflated prices for mediocre products. And as you see more competition enter the market, you'll see naturally the price is going to bottom out somewhere. And I do think it's important to consider what your target demographic is and who you're marketing to and what their price points are, because that's going to resonate for your business model more than, I get it. When you had weed and you were the only person who had weed, you could just be like, whatever, here it is.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's not your future. Unless it gets captured by reschedule and there's only a few players at the table.
That'd be great. That'd be so awesome.
Look at cannabis like any other agricultural commodity. The wholesale markup from the cost to produce it is, around 30% maximum for any agricultural commodity. You're not going to get much more than that. As far as retail, there's so much that's involved with that. Local taxes are part of it. Obviously, markups for smaller quantities. If I go out and buy a case of tomatoes, I can get each tomato a lot cheaper than if I'm buying 1 or 2 tomatoes still on the vine at Whole Foods or wherever. So, quantity buys, all of that. It's really hard to gauge that, and the market's so convoluted that, is it an ounce of smalls? Is it that's one of the top selling things at most dispensaries right now are smalls and shake. And are we counting that, on a per gram cost retail the same as a top shelf eighth? So that data is not reliable right now. It's not mature enough of a market, as Dale said. So for us to be able to compare apples to apples, we have to talk wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even if you, and I understand we don't have all of that information available to analyze it state by state, because we have to go in and actually measure that shit. But on an individual business level, I would be mindful. But I'm not in California. So I think, like, if you make a quality product accessible, you capture a lot more. That's why things have worked out a lot differently in some of the hemp states. But I'm going to let you speak to your market or like a market like New York. What do you expect when you have limited licensing and you think that people are going to pay these ridiculous prices when they can just go down the bodega and they know their guy? Like,
well, that's a true free market, right? And those guys have to compete with that long term. And like Dale said, if you're not running a tight ship, and the black market is allowed to flourish for whatever reason, or a hemp market or whatever other alternative markets there are, people will default to that, especially right now, because everyone's pocket's feeling the squeeze in this economy. So, people are going to do the best they can do. I know here in Florida, you're allowed an allotment that the doctor sets. And if you smoke more than that allotment in 35 days or whatever, most people have to go to the black market, because so A lot of people will wait for a big sale and buy their entire allotment at a medical shop. And then if they run out of weed before they can buy more, they have to go to a hemp shop. So, so people will do whatever they need to do. That's obvious. But if we're talking about strictly, licensed regulated markets, so we can compare apples to apples from point of view of economics, New York started very slow. And now they've allowed a lot more licensees to come in. It's pretty much no longer a limited license market, and free competition has brought the price down. And for the consumer, that should be a good thing. And for all the producers that got in that thought they were going to just make a killing, the cows have come home, and they got to figure out what to do next.
Fair.
Competition is the American way, and if you don't honor that, you're gonna lose. And I mean, Mr. Mondami's gonna run smack into that. Is that it's called competition, and who's gonna pay for all this? And it's going to be a mess. So stand back, get your popcorn ready.
Congratulations, Mr. Mondami. You have successfully dropped the prices of cannabis in New York 17%. Congratulations. Congratulations, big guy. And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Trademarked.